It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant pride.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live right here on Giants.com and the Giants mobile app. The man to my left, the big fella, Howard Cross. I am John Schmeelk, and I actually say left now, and you can see it. He's to my left.
Isn't that crazy?
We're back on video, folks. How you be? You had to stare at the Tino and Lance yesterday. Talk about an upgrade. You got Schmeelk and Cross here, though hopefully the lights off our heads don't, affect you at all.
That's why I put my hat on.
That's why he's got the hat on, absolutely. 201-939-4513, 201-939-4513. We'll continue talking a little bit about the game against the Commanders. I don't want to spend too much time on that, and we can do a little look ahead to the Eagles, but also, of course, talk about whatever you want to talk with us about at 201-939-4513. So, Howard...
Yeah.
You played in the game that the Giants had last tied in against the Washington then football team back in 1997. So tell me, what is it like for a player after a tie?
It's a little confusing because you're playing a game. I remember distinctly, leaving the game thinking like, man, like what in the world was that? And it just didn't. It was confusing. I know they were a tough team that year. I know they had to do a lot of do everything. The defense was playing outstanding, but
did you have to buff out the Gus Frerotte dent in the stadium wall after the game?
Hey, leave it to Gus Frerotte to give himself a concussion.
For the younger fans in that game, Gus Frerotte was the quarterback for Washington. I believe he scored a touchdown on the play, right?
He scored a touchdown.
And to celebrate,
headbutted the wall
with his helmet on.
The concrete wall.
With no padding.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So. Thank God for Gus, so we got in the playoffs because of that.
And he concussed himself. Was Heath Schuler their backup that year still? Was that Heath?
I just remember the concussion and laughing on the sideline, and I felt bad for him for about a second.
Yeah, for about a second, I was going to say.
You're an idiot. I hope I don't see that kid anytime soon.
I was in the locker room after the game, Howard, and it felt like a losing locker room, and this is kind of where I'll go with this.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't have. And I get why the team was disappointed. They had opportunities to win the game. They probably felt like they should have won the game. I get it. Mm-hmm. And I understand players don't think about it this way. But from a big picture perspective, I'll kind of compare it to this. It's like you're playing Texas Hold'em and you check. And they've basically checked now, and now these two teams are going to play again in 2 weeks, and now that's the game that's more important. So whatever.
No, so this is what happens. So in the mind of players, and no matter what sport you play, in playoff kind of sport, we gear ourselves to win the game or to lose the game.
Herm Edwards, you play to win the game.
Yeah, that's it. Like there is no tie in your mind, and then when someone ties, it's like I go crazy watching soccer during the season. If I see a match and it ties, I'm like, how could they tie? Like, what is tying? Why would you let somebody tie? And now they have they're kicking the ball, whatever the free kicks or whatever it is, trying to eliminate the tie, but. That's what it's like. That's what it basically comes down to. You don't want to. You don't know anything about a tie. You don't have an emotion attached to a tie. So when you tie the game, whether you think it's a good thing or a bad thing, you feel like you lost.
I'm surprised you don't remember who came in for Gus Frerotte in that game. It was a former teammate of yours. That's right. It was Haas. Jeff Haas. That must have been really old Jeff Hostetler, right?
Well, think about what
he was born in '61, so he was 36 years old.
What year was that? This is game
97.
97. How many years ago was that? Now do the math on that.
That's 25 years ago.
Yeah,
it's a long time.
Yeah, it's a really, really long time ago. Like I wouldn't remember.
I get it.
I can barely.
I just
remember.
thought since he was your teammate, you remembered going up against Hostetler.
I don't play defense.
That's true. No, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Haas came in when 19 of 41, 213, 3 interceptions, sacked 4 times. Did have 1 run for 10 yards.
Yeah, Haas was a decent player. He just didn't, at the end of his career, it's like everybody else. You got to know when to let go.
Was that a night game?
Yeah.
It was, right? I thought I remember it being a night game, right?
I can remember distinctly that Armstead and those guys ran out in the field telling Coach to go for it one time.
Now,
he goes, because they're not going to get another yard from here.
I don't think that was Monday Night Football. I believe that was when old Sunday Night Football was like on TNT, right? Remember when Sunday Night Football was like on TNT and you had Mike Patrick doing the games?
25 years ago.
Yeah.
25. Just
I'm
say it with
pretty-
me. 25.
25 years
There you
ago. I
go.
understand.
There you
Well,
go.
let's see. Do they have the information here? That was, do they have a game? There's outdoors grass, 49 degrees, blah, 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 blah. Do we have a game time? Yeah, Sunday, November 23rd, 8 p.m. Ha! I did remember. And I just knocked the football
You
down.
did good. You did good. But me, I don't remember. Those kind of details are like, they don't really do much for me. I love when fans tell me stuff like that. I think it's really funny. They'll start telling me a story, and I'm like listening to them. I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that. Then they walk out. They're like, do you remember that? I'm like, nope.
Anyway, I just wasted everybody's time there. I apologize.
100%. You're back in the weeds.
Yes, I'm trapped in the weeds. But let's dig our way out of them here, Howard. So anyway, Lance and Paul talked about the playoff picture yesterday. There's still 5 games yet. I'm not breaking down number of wins, and there's too many things can change. I'm not doing that. Bottom line, if you go beat Washington in 2 weeks, you're going to be in really good shape. So let's just worry about that.
Here's a question. How many starters do we have in the secondary?
Right now, 2.
2?
2. It was last week. I would consider Fabian Moreau's a starter, right? He's the starting number 2 corner this year.
Okay, he came back. That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
And Julian Love.
All right. So you had 2.
That's it.
I've been telling everybody it was at least just one I can think of.
Well, Moreau wasn't a starter to begin the year, so one's not technically wrong.
Okay, so it was one starter for that. So I'm like, the more of those guys that pop back up, the better our chances are. The thing that I said last week about Bellinger coming back, how it would change the running game and how things would look so different, it just made it easier for Daniel to get out on the edge. It made it easier when they ran out to the edge.
For Daniel, yes, not necessarily for Saquon.
Saquon had some good yardage against the edge if he tried. If not, I don't want to say Saquon wasn't trying. When they tried to hit the edge and they ran it to the tight end side.
And Bellinger did have a couple nice blocks in the run game.
Incredible blocks.
But second half, they did not exactly, I think, run it necessarily as well as you would like. Hey, Pearson, can you pass me my bag right there? I have a couple notes that I want to grab on the game.
I think that literally that the Alabama front started to pick it up in the second half with Hand and Allen and those guys really got after it in the second half.
No, they did, and they played well. And
Yeah.
I think Saquon in the second half, I want to make sure I have this right, because I tracked it. 7 rushes for 3 yards in the second half in overtime.
Yeah.
Rushes, and I actually tracked them individually. Second half, 1 yard, no yards, -1 yards, 0 yards, -3 yards, 5 yards.
Up the middle.
In the first half, he went better. He rushed for 60 yards. 13. How many carries did he have in the first half? I think 9 carries.
9 carries. Yeah.
But a lot. Here's the thing, though. 37 of those yards came on that 2-minute drill when Washington was kind of conceding the run a little bit. So if you take those yards out, 3 yards, 5 yards, 3 yards, 5 yards, 2 yards, which is fine.
Washington has a really, really stout run.
They have a good front.
Run front. So him getting anything would have been great. But, like I said, you have to get away from those 2 guys that are probably Pro Bowlers that are in the middle.
No, they're very good.
Yeah.
And Montez Sweat's a good player, too, by the way.
Montez Sweat's a pretty good player. I like him, too.
Yeah.
More for a pass rusher than the run game, but, really good player.
No question. Defensively, and I guess this is how I'll transition now to the Eagles this week very quickly, and we'll have more time to preview the game as we move forward. Terry McLaurin got off a little bit. Again, we talked about all the injuries in the secondary. Not a huge surprise.
Yep.
And, boy, you could make the argument, Howard, that your boy Devontae Smith
Roll Tide
and A.J. Brown might be the best wide receiver tandem in football.
Right now they are.
It's darn close, right?
Well, second or third.
And I would say, who'd you put ahead of him?
I would go down. I would go down to Miami with all those Bama guys down there.
Oh, Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, that's fair. And you could, Lockett, DK Metcalf, with the Giants played this year, is pretty good too. But I wouldn't put them ahead of AJ and Devonta.
Who else would we put as a duo?
The Raiders don't have anyone with Devontae Adams. How about Jamar Chase, T. Higgins?
I was about to say the guys.
Pretty good.
The guys in Cincinnati are pretty good.
Yep.
And I don't know what's going on in there's just too many guys to throw to in Kansas City. They threw to a lot of guys down there. But there's some good players out there. It's just got to be able to get to them.
By the way, Titans fired their general manager, John Robinson, today, which was a bit of a surprise.
Fired the general manager?
Yeah. Weird.
Okay.
And I think this is going to be, I think they've had a winning record for 8 consecutive years or something crazy like that. It's very odd. Anyway, don't want to get in those weeds.
Well, he must be trying to push to get the quarterback in.
Yeah, or maybe there's something behind the scenes we don't know about. Who knows? It's, you don't want to try to figure that. Anyway, the point I was trying to make before I once again got pulled myself off to the side is that
weeds.
This is a very difficult matchup for the Giants secondary.
You're not going to go like it's a must-win? Is that what they were saying last week?
I'm not calling this a must-win.
Okay,
No.
right,
The must-win is in 2 weeks against Washington. That I'll call a must-win. I'm not calling, and I didn't call last week a must-win either. Do you know why?
Yeah.
You played Washington again in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
so that game in 2 weeks, that's almost a must-win. But this week, it's just good. Look, the Eagles are really, really good, Howard. They might be the best team in football.
Yeah, they are the best team in football.
It's going to be a tough matchup. Dealing with their wide receivers, dealing with their defensive front. They have two good corners, too, in Bradbury and Slay that are really good players.
Well, who are they going to cover?
Well, that's my point.
We only have one guy there. Just joking. Just joking. No, I just think that, when you face the Eagles, the thing to do with the Eagles, which is a hard thing to do, is you got to make it dirty. You got to make it a muddy, slow, drawn-out game. And the only way to do that is, Daniels, unfortunately and fortunately, you're gonna have to he's gonna have to run the ball, share some of the load. You're gonna have to get Saquon out on the edges, behind some of the tight ends when they're blocking. Stay away from the middle where Big Cox is. That's a big man down there.
And Jordan Davis, by the way, is back too.
Yeah, you want to stay out of those guys' way. If they tackle you, they have to tackle you from behind.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, I think you can have some success against them. I think, Washington plays a lot like the Giants, except for they got a couple better receivers on the outside.
Yeah, and I think Jones is probably a little bit of a better player than Heineke.
Yeah, but again, Washington plays.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with Jones and Heineke. If you put,
they both want to run the ball and play defense. That's what they want to do.
If you put Jones on a lot of the other teams where there are receivers and getting a little bit of blocking, and all of a sudden he's like, oh wow, they'll be talking a lot more about Jones around the league.
Agreed.
Yeah, so that's I'm not faulting him or anything, but when you drop back, you got to find a guy to throw to. They will have a guy inside out on Slayton trying to see, if they can cover him one-on-one. And if they're not, they're going to slide a guy over the top. And they're going to say, okay, the rest of you guys beat us. You're starting to see it week in and week out. Guys are like, okay, he can get behind us. Could you stay back a little bit further? Watch him.
Yep.
One of these other guys, put a jersey on them. Let's figure out who they are, and we'll get them.
Yeah, and I thought they did a good job of they chipped a lot on the edges to give extra help inside. And then the minute they didn't do that sort of stuff, that's when the pass rush got there. So
absolutely. That's
just kind of how it went. And it's funny. This will be the last thing I say before we move on. I made a big mistake yesterday, Howard.
Uh-oh.
I opened up Twitter, and I saw that.
I thought Twitter didn't exist anymore. Does it still exist?
Still exists.
I'm just joking.
I know. I'm no technical wizard, but apparently keeping a website up that just requires you to post text and pictures isn't that complicated to run.
I mean, are you verified? Are you paying the money per month to be verified?
I do not pay, but I am verified.
Oh, they still let you keep your check?
For now.
Elon Musk does
for
not.
now.
He doesn't know that you have it. He's gonna.
He's coming for me, Elon.
Elon, I'm sorry, but Schmeelk has a check.
Hopefully, I can get the organization to play for that check when the time comes.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, good luck. Anyway, so I made the mistake of opening up Twitter, and I saw in the little column on the right that Brian Dable was trending, and I'm like, huh.
Oh, he's
why would
wardrobe.
Why would Brian Dable be trending? Well,
coolest dressed guy in the league, right?
nice red Belichick jacket walking in, but that I don't think was the reason because
no?
I clicked on it and then the top tweets pop up, right?
What'd they say?
Oh boy.
What'd they say? What did the Twitterverse say?
The Twitterverse made the point that they believe that the Giants' offense was very bland and uncreative in the game against Washington, and it's time to put the ball in the hands of Daniel Jones and open up the offense. And then I started thinking, and I said,
Don't
Wait a
respond
second.
to the Twitterverse.
No, I didn't post anything. I'm responding now. This is what I'm doing now. And I said, let me see. You're heading into a game, and I want to make sure I get the exact numbers correct here because I don't want to get it wrong.
There are numbers associated with this?
Well, I mean, not for Twitter, but I want to make a point.
Okay.
You're going up in a game here. You're facing the Philadelphia Eagles, right? And a Philadelphia team that's pretty good. They have, and traditionally they've always had, one of the best fronts in football. They rotate 1 billion guys in and out.
1 billion. Okay. Would it be?
More like 8.
Same thing.
Close enough to 1 billion.
They got riches.
They got a lot of guys. Look at this. They have Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph, and they're their backups.
Wow.
They're their backups.
That's
To Fletcher
pretty good.
Cox, Javon Hargrave. Oh, and Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
Those are 5 really awesome defensive tackles.
Yeah.
Throw in Josh Sweat. Throw in Brandon Graham.
Yep.
Throw in, I'm forgetting their other end on the other side, who's also very good.
Mm-hmm.
And, Hassan Reddick. That was the guy they signed in the
Hassan
offseason.
Reddick.
Another
Yep.
really good player.
Yeah.
So those are 8 guys. So I stand by my billion comment. They have 42 sacks. Second most in the league after Dallas.
That's it? Only
That's it.
42?
Only 42. That's more than 4 game, by the way. It's about 4 game.
Mm-hmm.
Throw in the fact they have 2 of the best cover corners in the league in Darius Slay and James Bradbury.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the game you're heading into where you want to throw the football a lot and put the ball in the hands of your passing game. Howard, I've heard a lot of dumb stuff in my life. I grew up in Brooklyn. I heard a lot of dumb things.
What's wrong with Brooklyn?
I love Brooklyn. People mouth off that aren't very smart in Brooklyn. It's what we do. We have fun with it.
All right.
That, sir,
Mm-hmm.
might be the single dumbest. I work with Paul Dottino. That might be the single dumbest thing that I've heard in my entire freaking life.
You're slandering Paul to make your point.
I love Paul.
So, for the fans that are listening, Twitterverse and whoever else, the reason why the Giants don't throw the ball, they really have one receiver that's an actual threat that can run pristine routes and can get deep. And even when he gets deep, a lot of times he's running side by side with someone. He makes an incredible catch. So that's the historical 50-50 ball, which I hate because that means you're not really open. Now, of
course, he was open late in the game, and he did not. And by the way, Howard, I went back.
I'm not talking about that.
And I looked at it again, and you are 100% right. Just run under the football,
just
dude.
Keep
Just run under the football.
It's just
it's
one of those moments when the ball's in the air, and it's like up in the air so long, and you're by yourself. You like
and he was so open.
You like turn around like, oh my god, oh my god. Instead of like, okay, all I got to do is slow down. Nope, I got to turn around and make sure I don't drop this, and you usually drop it. That's
correct. Anyway, finish your point.
Anyway, but basically, there's no way for them to throw the ball because they just don't have the personnel right now to throw the ball. And it's no. If they had the best line in the NFL,
which they don't,
regardless, if they had the best line in the NFL and they could hold up, they would be covered. The receivers would be covered.
And even as it is, the plays they do run, everything is quick and fast. They're trying to get a ball out very quickly.
If you had the best line in the NFL, that secondary would lock you down. So for fans that are like, I get the emotion of it, I get the excitement of it, I get the want to throw the ball down the field, and I think that the Giants have done an incredible job of going down deep 2 or 3 times a game to try to get everybody to step back.
Agreed.
And that's all we were asking for. You know, it wasn't this prolific passing game that they had to create. You'll see more of that in the years to come. I'm sure of it with the additions of draft picks and whoever else they bring into the game. But today, with what they're currently built as, they just got to make it dirty every game and try to figure it out. And you got to hope that if they step 8 guys up, if they step 9 guys, squeeze guys into the box, that 1 or 2 or 3 plays that you decide to throw it deep, that somebody's back there to catch it.
If you throw it 40 times against the Eagles, you're losing by at least 2 scores.
If you throw it 40 times if we throw it 40 times, you said throw the ball?
I said 40, yes. If you want to,
so we're counting. So in my mind, I'm counting like all the plays in the game. Like 40 is just the pass plays. If you throw it 40 times against the Eagles, we're losing by at least 3 touchdowns.
And Daniel Jones might not come out of the game alive.
Oh no, he'll be alive. He'll just be hurt. He'll be missing some stuff, part of his soul, his spleen will be out on the field.
I was wise enough not to tweet all of that, by the way. That's me being mature. Instead, I'm saying it on the show, so people can yell at me on Twitter later, and then I'll reply and I'll get into the weeds again, which is where I like to live.
It's just crazy.
No, it's crazy.
But I love fans. I love how they have every fan's a GM, every fan's a coach. It's just I love all that. I appreciate all of it.
Oh no, I love it too.
But it's just not possible. It's just
And trust me, you don't think Brian Dable and Mike Kafka want to throw the ball over the field? Do you see the teams they came from and how they play football?
Yeah, but again,
they want to.
Personnel of the teams that they came from versus the personnel of the team that they have. And it takes time to rebuild that moment.
201-939-4513. Folks, Giants TV. It's the Giants official streaming app. It brings original video content, game highlights, on demand, and direct to Big Blue fans. It's free on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app. And also, folks, go subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. We got a lot of good stuff on there. Last week, I went one-on-one with Darnay Holmes, a one-on-one with Jonathan Vilma, former NFL linebacker as well. Talked some football with him. This week, a very special episode coming up this Wednesday Former Giants head coach Tom Coughlin's coming to the facility. He's sitting down with Eli Manning for about 20 minutes to talk about his new book, which details the 2007 Super Bowl season. So that's going to be a great conversation.
Yeah.
We're recording that Wednesday morning. Depending on how quickly Pearson can edit, that should hopefully be up on Wednesday afternoon.
And that'll be a good one, because I'm glad Coach is getting out and talking and stuff. I'm happy to see you.
Condolences to Coach on the loss of his wife, Judy.
And socializing and doing things. It's a good thing. It's good for you to keep moving and stuff and keep grinding. That's good for Coach.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him and say hello to him in person. Is Papa's perspective up yet this week there, Pearson? Nope. Okay, well, hopefully that'll be up later on today. But this week it's Bob Papa, let me see, and Jason Sehorn talking about his big playoff game against the Eagles that you played in when he made the unbelievable catch. He tells a great story. He goes, by the way, the funny thing in that catch, I did everything technically wrong in that play. I dove when I shouldn't have dove. I turned when I shouldn't have turned, but
that's funny.
I took the ball to myself, and it worked out.
It happens sometimes, right? Sometimes things work out perfectly, and then sometimes it's like, oh my goodness. I saw a play on Instagram or Twitter or something, a high school playoff game. The kid intercepted the ball, and the offensive player ripped it out of his hands and ran for a touchdown. I was like, this poor kid. He's like on Twitter forever now. I know what he's thinking. Like,
anyway. Find the Giants Huddle podcast on your favorite podcast platform, or listen on the Giants app, or go to giants.com/podcast to check out all of our podcast offerings, including Big Blue Kickoff Live, Giants Huddle, and Draft Season, our draft podcast. That's going to start kicking up a little bit more. We're getting there, Howard.
Yeah.
We're getting there. All right, let's get to the phones. 201-939-4513. And start off with Doug in Rochester. Doug, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, John and Howard?
How are we doing?
How you guys doing?
Great.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I called, but I just want to be honest. The last few games are 0-2-1 team. The way they looked coming out the second half, they got the touchdown off the turnover and could have scored 3 points to win the game. And, I got people come tell me the Giants look like a different team, and they really do look like a different team. And I think, the Eagles, and they got to play the Commanders in Washington, and then Minnesota, and then Indianapolis and the Eagles again. If that offense doesn't get better, they're not going to win another game. That's just the way it looks to me.
Doug, their offense is exactly the same as it was the first half of the year, dude. They just won close games, and now they're losing close games.
Here's wait a minute. Well, hold on. Here's what I got for you, and for all the callers that's calling, just remember I'm telling you this. I never expected them to win 7 games. I didn't with the personnel we had and everything. I was hoping Coach Dabo was going to be a great coach. I was hoping they were going to do some positive things. To have a winning record in December, to have hopes that
be in the playoff picture.
Yeah, to be hopes that you're in the playoff picture, and to have hopes that if they can find a way to steal a couple games, we could be in the playoffs. Like that's all gravy for me. Like it really is. And I'm not defending the team.
Of course.
I'm not beating on the team. But looking at the personnel that they had, I was like,
Hey, look, here's the bottom line, Howard. I'm going to list some numbers.
It's a better season than I expected.
21 points, 19 points, 16 points, 20 points, 27, 24, 23, 13, 24, 18, 20, and 20. Those numbers are all very close to each other.
Yeah, I just want to say something about that, and I got something else to say. Well, in that second half, when they were winning games, they were scoring in the second half. Okay? They were putting up. That's when they were scoring points.
I understand, but but you're still looking at total points scored. It doesn't matter when you score them.
Sometimes it does matter. Like they said, they need to score. So to be possible. But anyway, you guys are talking about receivers. I'm gonna start off in the NFC East. You look at the Cowboys; they got a good pair of 1 and 2. The Eagles got a good 1 and 2. The Redskins got a good 1 and a decent 2. That may not be good with the Cowboys and the Eagles. Now the Giants are coming up in the offseason. I don't know what their bankroll look like, but you got some receivers on the market. I'll give you an example: T. Higgins. Okay,
he's not a free agent.
I don't know if they can afford a T. Higgins, next year and next season in the summer. So I don't know if their bankroll, if they can afford it. Because we got some number one receivers on the market.
T. Higgins is not a free agent, Doug.
But here's what I got for receivers, and this is for all positions for the team, and I'm just going to keep saying this over and over. And thanks, Doug, for your call. Here's what I believe.
T. Higgins, by the way, is signed through next season. Then he has a 5th-year option, so he has 2 years left.
But it's fine. The whole idea of going out and bringing in some top flight receiver to the team means you're going to spend a lot of money on him. But the best way to build your team is to build your team through the draft. Go get some guys that you think can make plays. Go get some guys you think can make a difference. Go get some guys like you think going to be around for a while. The Evan Neals, the Andrew Thomases, the Dexter Lawrences. Try to keep them on them rookie contracts. That's how you build your team. If you build your team through free agency, you don't have money to actually make moves once you get things close. The Giants have sold out a couple times in free agency trying to, quote-unquote, get to the playoffs and win the Super Bowl. And when it doesn't work out, the years after that, you're like, oh, my God, what happened? Where are we?
See 2016, see 2021.
See the Rams.
See the Rams.
You know,
Yeah,
and everybody's like, oh, they won the Super Bowl last year. And now they're like, they're nowhere. And they won't be anywhere for a while.
Right. And, Howard, I think you'll be happy to hear that the free agent market this offseason is really not very strong in terms of wide receivers. I'm just going to list you some of the top guys, right? DJ Chark.
I don't know who that is.
My point. Marvin Jones from Jacksonville, but he's like 33. He's 33
he's
now.
Almost my age.
Juju Smith-Schuster. He's probably the best guy. But I don't see why the Chiefs would let him go after the way he's played this year. He's 26. That's a guy. A.J. Green's 34. Jarvis Landry is 30. Sammy Watkins, he's always hurt. I mean, McCole Hardman, he hasn't, he's with Patrick Mahomes. He can't have a big year. You're going to spend big money on him?
I'll let you know if for time I know somebody.
No, dude, that's what I'm saying. I'm going through these names, then there's just.
But the whole thing is
not a lot here.
It's been that way for a while. I don't think you don't go out and get, like they did at the Raiders. You don't go out and get like they did in Philadelphia, the two top, receivers.
Or the Dolphins, right? Tyreek Hill.
And the Dolphins, yeah. And they mortgaged the farm for these guys.
The Giants are not in a position to do that.
Yeah, they don't have a farm. So that's the whole point. Like you really have to, and I know the fans want it to be right now, this second. We need to figure out what we're doing. But this is like a process, and I'm telling everybody, like, we're a year, maybe almost 2 years ahead with the way that they're playing and the way they were able to put this together, and I'm looking forward and excited about, and I'm not discounting the rest of the year by any stretch of the imagination.
No, neither am I.
Yeah, but I'm very excited about the future for the Giants.
And in the draft, and because I'm tracking this stuff now, and I know you watch a lot more college football than I do, so you probably have an opinion on this too. This is not a great college wide receiver class because you're tied. Hasn't developed a wide receiver for this year.
We don't have a guy. All our guys are young guys. So
right. Ohio State.
They have one guy.
And he hasn't played all year with a hamstring injury. Smith and Jigba.
So that's not a good call.
And by the way, he declared, by the way, which I was surprised by.
I wasn't surprised by it.
I mean,
if you have a hamstring in college and you're not really getting anywhere, and right now you're at the top of the draft class.
He never had a big year at Ohio State.
He looked incredible the last two games.
Yeah, two games. We're doing 2 games now.
And all they're going to look at is like how fast he runs the 40. If he can get himself healthy, run the 40.
Fair.
You're going to get guys out of TCU.
Quentin Johnson from TCU.
You're going to get some guys out of
Jordan Addison from USC is another guy.
That's a kid that people like. But and then after that, you got to really study and see who's really making plays.
And even that group we just talked about, if they were in last year's class, they'd probably be the 5th or 6th guys taken.
That's true.
So
that's definitely true.
It's not your this isn't your Jameson Williams.
But that's why you're going to be able to get 2 or 3 guys in the draft this year.
Right. Second, third, fourth round.
Yeah, they're going to come in and going to shock people because these guys are pretty good.
Correct. 100%. 201-939-4513. That's our off-season preview. December 6th. Thanks, Doug. Let's go to Ron in New Jersey. He's up next. Hi, Ron.
What's up, Ron?
Hey guys. Thanks for taking the call.
Hello.
Listen, yesterday on the podcast, a couple people called to criticize the Giant fans. I normally call with questions, but I just feel compelled to give a different perspective.
Okay.
That I was at the game Sunday, my first tie.
Hey, Ron, real fast. I want to just explain to Howard. So yesterday, fans called up. They thought the crowd was very quiet and unenthusiastic during the game. Ron, go ahead.
Okay. So there's a direct correlation, to give the obvious, between what's happening on the field and the crowd. And I'll tell you that this past Sunday, every third down, everybody stood up. The whole overtime, my whole section stood up. And the calls yesterday talked about the old Giant Stadium. Now, I came of age when Howard played, so I've been going for a while. I have seats in the West Club. They're expensive. And the difference between now and when I used to go to games in the old Giant Stadium is everyone around me in those days were the same people week in and week out.
Yeah.
Well, today there's a handful of people for sure, but I got to guess 50, 60, 70% of the crowd is corporate. So different people come every week.
True.
So I understand where the callers were saying, hey, this is not like old Giant Stadium, probably a little nostalgia in there. But this year, I have to tell you, has been the most electric and most fun to be at games in years. So I'm with you guys. Like this is a win this year. I'm going to be at Philadelphia at the game next week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm happy with the team, and I got to tell you, I think most of the fans are too. At least that's my experience. That's my 2 cents.
Right.
That's
Thank you, Ron.
Nice.
Appreciate
think,
the call, man.
I think that the crowd has been more lively this year than it has been in a while. That's because of they're winning games.
Yeah, I mean, Wink has been very effusive of his praise on the impact it's had on offenses.
Yeah, you win games, people show up. I don't think it's like a Airbnb anymore. There's not there. When you look up in the stands, there are a lot more Giants fans in the stands, and in the past it was an Airbnb for whoever was coming to town. People were selling their tickets and and getting guys in.
This week is a tough ticket, is my understanding.
Well, again, like the NFL has done an incredible job around the league of doing this. They put all the conference games you're playing against your conference
And division.
I'm sorry, and division and conference at the end of the year. So like the only non-conference game they have is Indianapolis. So you're playing Minnesota, you're playing the Eagles twice, you're playing Washington twice. You're already finished with Dallas. So all of the games that are going to make a difference in your division are going to be played at the end of the year. So TV will be must-see TV for the rest of the season when you're watching the NFL.
I'm sure you heard, Howard. What was your reaction when you saw that the Giant-Washington game in 2 weeks has been flexed to Sunday Night Football?
I was thinking it was going to be cold. Very, very cold.
I was thinking of the pulling into Newark Penn at like 4:30 in the morning.
I'm still thinking cold, but you can go ahead with how you think. I'm going to be on the sideline at night.
I know. I made that point yesterday for you. I backed you up yesterday.
That's why I've invested in the heated vest. I suggest them for anyone. But holy smokes, it's going to be cold.
It's going to be cold. And then the other part of this, too, and we talked about this at the end of the show yesterday, then we'll get back to your calls. The Vikings play on Saturday this week, right?
Okay.
Or rather, the Vikings play this. Should we do that again? The Vikings play on Saturday the week that we play Sunday night at Washington, right?
So they get a long week and we get a short week.
They get almost 2 more days than we do.
That's not well,
Because remember, we play them on Saturday the following week, Howard. So we're playing Sunday night, then going on the road and playing Saturday. So it's not quite a Thursday game week. It's close. Like you got 2 days of practice, maybe 1.5.
When is that? Okay, so what's the schedule? Because I don't even know the schedule.
Okay, so
I'm just hanging out here.
So we play Sunday night at Washington, right?
Yep.
Then we travel the next Friday,
So
and we play
Sunday.
Saturday
and
at Minnesota on Christmas Eve. So it's Philly Sunday, Washington Sunday night.
There's 2 games left.
That is correct. We play Sunday home versus the Colts, and then Sunday at Philly. Or that could actually be a Saturday game.
The problem is that the problem is that the Eagles are trying to lock up the number 1 spot. Dallas is still in the race for the number 1 spot.
They play Christmas Eve, and that'll decide that.
And Minnesota is also. So like we're at the end of the season where sometimes divisions are already the die has been cast. And I think in the NFC North the die has been cast. I think Minnesota's going to win.
I think they might have already clinched it. To be honest with you.
So by the time that they're playing us, they may be spelling guys and making sure that things are okay unless they're playing for a better position. And they really are not playing for a better position unless the Giants beat the Eagles. The Giants beat the Eagles and the Eagles have 2 losses. Then all of a sudden it changes and it keeps everybody in it. I think that teams, if it's me, you're gonna get some playing time. We're gonna keep it. We're gonna play to win games, but I got to get guys healthy if I need to get guys healthy.
No question.
Yeah.
Let's go to Rick in Tampa. He's up next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hey, Rick.
Hey guys. Hey, I looked yesterday, John. I was looking all over for the big. Oh, by the way, I love seeing the video, guys. Again,
isn't that crazy?
Guys, you got to watch what you wear and all that stuff now. Huh?
No, he didn't tell me till I got here. It was kind of like jacked up. That's all right though. So
No.
I got bushwhacked.
I honestly thought I told you last week. I didn't.
No, you didn't.
Oh, that's my bad.
That's fine.
And it's a shame because usually I do the show naked, but I can't do that anymore.
No, he doesn't.
All right, John. That's enough of that thought.
No. My stomach just turned a little bit. I threw up just a little bit in my mouth. Go ahead. That's terrible.
To hear the words Schmeelk and Giants in the same sentence, if you would have thought that at the beginning of the season, well, other than me, who said they'd be 10-7, it's just something
Don't hurt yourself, patting yourself on the back, Rick.
I am, because I did predict it.
I know you did.
I didn't predict the tie though, but it is exciting that as a fan to watch the game at night. I was kind of planning on a 1:00 game, but now, hey, it's going to be an evening game. It's going to be great, and I have a couple quick questions because Wan'Dale Robinson, when will he be back?
Next year, he has a torn ACL.
Oh, he's done. He's out. All right, I forgot that. Okay, so back to the wide receiver thing. I know the draft this season is not going to be as good as it was last year. Free agent wide receivers next year, if you get a chance.
Not good.
Going to be out there.
Not
good either.
You're going to be shocked at some of these kids that come out of college, how fast they run the 40M.
And by the way, you can always find wide receivers in the second and third round that are good. Now they might not be a superstar, but they'll be good players.
There'll be a bunch of guys that that aren't getting really a lot of recognition. They're going to show up and they're going to run like 4 threes, and you're going to be oh, who is that? And then you're going to start trying to go back and watch his game tape from colleges. So you're like, oh, this kid was really productive. You're going to hear a lot of that.
Okay, all right. So, and I'm sure we'll be using our picks on that to get the talent pulled in there.
And by the way, Rick, very quickly, I know we've gotten calls about this. My bet is that's probably one of the reasons why Beckham is probably in the mix for a lot of these teams, because they're looking ahead at the free agency class, they're looking ahead at the draft, and they're like, well, if we want to try to add a receiver next year, this signing him now might be our best shot to help us next year. You know what I mean?
Well, the teams that were looking at Beckham were thinking that he would be the chip to push them over the edge. And knowing that
that's true too.
The problem with Beckham is, and it's not really Beckham's problem, but the league's problem is that Beckham wants more than a year. He wants 2 or 3 years.
And he hasn't even worked out for teams.
Yeah, so that's the problem. It's not that he wouldn't be a great signing for next year, which he would be phenomenal for whatever team is lucky enough to get him. It's just that he wants it now when he, like I said, I've been saying the entire time, dude, if you can sit out, just sit out.
I mean, he's 10 months. He's 9.5 months off of ACL surgery.
Please protect yourself, because I know the rush to get back. I need to get myself kind of secured. I want to know that I'm.
Yeah, Howard, I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm like sit out.
Wait,
man.
and then go work out for teams in March when you're even healthier. You know what I mean? I'm with you on that.
Such a great kid, such a hard worker, man. But man, them joints.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. The idea, I was upset about the coaches this week. I think they let us down in a lot of ways, some play calling, some decisions, so they didn't help us out. So I think Dable and the staff had a bad game overall.
You didn't have a problem with the punt on 4th and 3, did you, Rick?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Come on, really?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Because
but anyway,
Coach didn't drop the ball, and Coach didn't drop the ball. So if he catches the ball, game's over. We're not having this conversation. We're talking about our chances against the Eagles.
Yeah, exactly. Now back to that. 7-4-1. The tie kind of helps us out. I think it's a 3-team battle for the final 2 spots, right? It's the Commanders, us, and it's Seattle. And we have the opportunity with, first of all, going into this game, and I don't see any way, and I said this before, how they're going to win this game. Because Saquon's our only weapon, and Philly's going to just say, we got to stop Saquon, and that is it. And after that, we don't stand a chance unless, perhaps, they are so confident in themselves, they come in thinking they're going to cakewalk through here, and we could surprise them with some kind of freak defensive play or something. But I'm really looking forward to the end of the season where some of these teams, just to give us some fun in the playoffs, because you're looking at San Francisco, who is without Garoppolo now. You're looking at Tampa Bay down here, which I don't like at all, winning divisions that we have a chance to play against if we sneak in as a wild card team. So you never know what can happen. But Philly's not going to be playing for anything, perhaps. The Colts, look at that Colts game. My gosh, what a blowout. So I'm looking at Commanders game as the big one coming up on Sunday night. and I don't see any way that we could beat this team on this Sunday. And I know you have to kind of go the avenues and all that, but really, I don't see any, man. I don't see one. If it happens, it happens, but I can't see any. They're just so much better.
Well, Washington went into it, the same thing if you said Washington a few weeks ago had no chance at all of beating the Eagles, and they beat them.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And they just ran in, and that's why after Washington beat them, they went out and got defensive linemen to try to help stop the run no matter what. So, again, anybody can be beat on any given day, so just be prepared to give it your best effort.
Yeah, you got to take the ball away, get a couple turnovers, short fields, and see what happens.
And the weapons are consist as this. These are the weapons for the Giants. Saquon, of course, is a weapon. Slayton, weapon. Bellinger, weapon. And Daniel, unfortunately, with those three targets, is the weapon with his legs.
Has to be.
Yeah. So those somehow, some way, those three guys got to figure out.
And Daniel has run well against Philly in the past.
Well, I'm sure that they know that. But here's the thing that I'll say about this: watching games when they let him run, he looks good running. He does a great job, but they let them take extra shots on him as he's going down. Now I don't know if that would be the case if that was Patrick Mahomes and he's going down and Patrick runs, he doesn't get the extra shot when he's trying to get down. If he can't slide, he's kind of going that forward kind of thing. They let him get down. Daniel, they are getting after him. So that's the thing that I'm always concerned about when I'm watching them run. And they're not calling it. They're definitely not calling it. It's like, and I don't like beating on officials, but I watch things. I'm like, they're supposed to be protecting and making sure things are safe and run right, and they're just like, oh my goodness.
We are never one to blame officials here, but that was a rough day at the office. The last couple weeks, I thought there were some rough days at the office. And by the way, I think both teams have stuff to complain about.
Yeah, a lot to complain about.
Very inconsistent.
The only silly thing that I thought, pushing Slayton out of bounds probably should have been a call, but then they turn around, they don't call it the other way. So I'm like, okay, that's 1 for 1. The only thing I thought there probably should have been, better monitored was like when they're doing the 2-minute drive, and they try to rip the ball out of James's hands.
Yep.
That's a delay of game. That's an extra 5 or 10 yards, and
could have been unsportsmanlike.
Changes the whole flow of the game. So that's the only thing that I'm like. Everything else, if they did something against us, it turned around. They did the exact same thing. I'm like, man, this is incredible. It's almost like. The other thing was I thought that them spotting the ball was horrendous. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But that's whatever. But it wasn't just us; they were spotting the ball bad for Washington. So it's hard to be an official. That's what I would say.
It's a really tough job.
It's a tough job.
Ryan in Illinois, he's up next. Hey, Ryan.
Hey there, guys.
What's up?
I just wanted to talk a little bit about how some Giants fans seem to forget that the last 10 years we really, really struggled. And early in the year, it was like we barely beat Carolina. We beat the Bears by 8. It's not like we're some superpower that's, one good wide receiver away. I don't understand the concept of, selling out our future and maybe 5 to 10 good years to be able to get, maybe one playoff win. It's just asinine to me. I don't know.
Well, Ryan, I don't think they're in a situation here where even if you wanted to sell out 5 to 10 years, I don't think you could at this point. But yes, your overall point, 100%, we agree.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, the problem isn't that the fans they're fanatics. So you give them a little taste of success, and they're like, okay, what do we need right now to make the next step? Well, that just wasn't time for us to make any steps.
Don't let Wilson call him today,
so
Pearson. He called
it was
yesterday.
pretty good. So we were laughing about let them coming in and doing stuff. It's basically based on the fact that, hey, look, you're having some success. This is great. You want more. I want more. I want more for the guys that are playing, and this is why I want more for the guys that are playing. These guys are playing for their jobs. These guys are playing for their opportunity, not just with the Giants, but in the league. So it's not they pulled a lot of guys in. There are a lot of guys that when I'm looking at the shot sheet, I'm like, who is that? I don't know some of the guys sometimes.
Zion Gilbert.
Exactly. And I'm like, where'd he come from? So that is pretty cool. But at the same time, all of these guys, because they're getting a rare opportunity to play because they may not be playing on some other team.
I'm going to give you a great example, Howard. Sorry for interrupting.
Go ahead.
If I would have told Giant fans at the end of August that your 3 starting cornerbacks against the Washington Commanders on December 4th were Nick McLeod, Fabian Moreau, and Zion Gilbert, Giant fans would have fallen off their chairs. First of all, because Nick McLeod and Fabian Moreau weren't even on the roster yet.
Exactly.
I mean, and Xavier McKinney's not on the field, and Jason Pinnock is your starting safety.
Yeah.
3 of your 5 guys in the secondary were not on the roster on September 1st.
And one of them wasn't even drafted.
Right, and the other guy's an undrafted free agent that you didn't think was going to make the team.
Yeah.
Great.
So I just, again, and I agree that every team has their issues with the injuries and whatnot, but hey, they're playing great with what they got, and I'm shocked that, like, I tell people all the time, like, they're like, what do you think? I'm like, I'm actually shocked that they're able to get guys off the street, coach them up, and make them more than serviceable.
And now we'll see if they can do it against Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown.
Well, it's the talent you go against. If I'm Philadelphia right now, I'm looking at this, I'm going, okay, how you guys feeling? How many catches you want this week? Because that's what we'll be looking at. I would not be trying to run the ball against the Giants. I'd be trying to save my backs. I'd put the game kind of out of whack, and then I'd run it just because it was fun to run at the end of the game. That's what I would be coaching for. But coaches are way smarter than me because they never do what you think they're going to do, ever.
One thing I want to throw in, guys, cool. Really excited about this pass rush because they're already doing it with, like you said, Nick McLeod and Zion Gilbert. Wait till we get maybe a second-round pick cornerback next year. Xavier McKinney's back, Adoree Jackson, maybe throwing a free agent in the slot. I think it could be a really special group, and you're not that many pieces away. Maybe the offense is still kind of far away, but I'm looking forward to, 6-7 sack games where you can just change the narrative with, a defensive touchdown. We haven't seen a defensive touchdown in a while from the Giants.
Yeah, Ojulari and Thibodeau seem to be feeding off of each other. Like all of a sudden, Thibodeau saw Ojulari blow out the ball, and he was like, wait a minute. What was that?
Yeah, and Howard, we talked about it on the IFB during the game. Ojulari, man, his get-off in that game, fresh legs.
Oh, man, he got off in the first quarter, the first pass rush that he did. He was so fast off the ball, he ran 4 yards past the quarterback before he could slow down. He's like, whoa. He's like, oh, easy. Let me figure out this angle now. Like it was just incredible. Like the tackles didn't push him by the quarterback. He just ran by him. The quarterback's like, where was that guy? What was that? Like that. Oh,
blue blur.
Just holy smokes! If he'd have hit him, he would have killed him. So that's how fast he was going. Then all of a sudden, Thibodeau's watching him. He's like, oh, I want some of that. That's incredible. And next year, if both of those guys are able to play 80% of the time, 80% of the games,
and if Leo and Dexter are back,
80% of the time, they will be formidable. There will be a lot of sacks, and there will be a lot of people upset about, holy smokes, how we're going to get by the Giants. The other thing is that, Ojulari did a great job rushing the passer, did some good stuff in the run game, but because he was so fast off the ball, he put himself in bad positions sometimes in the outside run. He was so far up the field, you could pitch it past him and get there. But, eventually he's going to change his angle because he's not going directly to the quarterback.
He was a little excited his first game.
Excited. Dude, he was a jetpack. That was awesome.
Ryan, you got anything else?
I guess that's the other thing I'm thinking is maybe to get Barkley a little bit fresh by using Breida some more. I know that's been said before, but I guess I just worried that if he does have some sort of work overload, twist an ankle, something like that, it'll really just make it hard in these last couple games for the offense, even more than it has.
All right, thanks for the call. Appreciate it, Ryan. Yeah, obviously you got to keep Saquon healthy. I mean, that goes without saying. You
got to do all you can. I mean, the problem with keeping Saquon healthy, and I get the keep Saquon healthy scream all the time, but you're trying to play as well as you can going down the stretch. You don't want anybody to get hurt by any stretch of imagination, but if we can find a way to sneak into the playoffs, and the only way to sneak in is by winning a couple games, that's one of your biggest, if not the biggest weapon on the team.
Yeah, if you go win 2 the rest of the way, and Washington's one of them, you got a real good chance of getting in. All right, let's go to Jamal in Dallas. He's up next. Hey, Jamal.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
What's up, man?
Pretty good.
I appreciate you taking my call. It's pretty cool seeing y'all on the screen. That's awesome now. Y'all back on live.
Thank you.
So my first going to last week's game against the Commanders. Yeah, man, I don't have any issues with the punt. I'm not against that. I'd rather the tie. However, I am asking and questioning the 3 consecutive pass plays on that series, or am I missing that?
Yeah, I'll double check it. I think it was 3 straight. Yeah.
Probably.
3 straight, 19 seconds off the clock, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, now, mind you, I'm not against that. I just felt like that probably wasn't the best time or place. But once again, I'm watching it at the bar or on the TV screen, and I can't see, is there something that's set up for them to see that? For them to take those 3 deep shots that they haven't seen all game? To take it in and not earlier?
Wait, you mean the series at the end of the on the end of the fourth quarter is what you're talking about, right?
Correct. We went 3 plays. I think 2 of them, or all of them were incomplete, obviously. But I've never seen us be that aggressive in one series. 3 deep balls. I've never seen that.
Once you drop the first one, right? Because I hate to beat on Slayton because he's done such a great job here. But once you drop the first one, Slayton runs through that ball, game's over.
And it's hard to run on 2nd and 10.
Yeah, so 2nd and 10. Now you're kind of forced because it's the last. You're in your last series here, and I don't know if that was even the last series, but
it was of the first half.
Yeah, so now you're trying to figure out, okay, what can I get to quote unquote, get us the first down.
And there's only 1:39 to go, and you're on your own 25. So time is an issue.
See, isn't that opposite of what we do normally? Like usually we try to set it up for 3rd and short.
Yeah, but
instead of 3rd and long.
Yeah, but again,
you're in a 2-minute drill though. It's a little bit different.
That has none of that has anything to do with it. It's like who is open and who has your best opportunity to catch the ball.
Yeah,
you're not just throwing the ball deep down the field. You're throwing it to the guy that you think has the best opportunity. And that's nothing against the other guys or anything. If Slayton would have ran a slant, if Slayton would have ran an out, if Slayton would have ran a corner or an in cut, the ball would have been going to Slayton.
Well, my only thing is, and I called a couple weeks ago talking about, I wish we just do that early in the game plan. But once again, I don't know what the defense was showing to where we couldn't go to that earlier.
Well, when it's 1:39 in the game, you're on your own 25. Like I said, the first play alone would have been a touchdown if it happens, and then you're behind the chains. They say 2nd and 10.
Yeah.
So then you got to okay, you can say, I'm going to go for a second and try to get 5 yards. You can try, but if you don't get it, then you're 3rd and 10.
Yeah.
Then it's the same thing. You want to progress the ball down the field and try to eat something up if you can.
And Jamal, I think the other factor too is that they wanted to try something different. I mean, their previous 3 drives to that 3 and out, 3 plays 9 yards, 3 plays 4 yards, 4 plays 13 yards. So they hadn't been able to methodically move the ball down the field, so they wanted to take a couple of shots. And quite frankly, Slayton was open on the first one, and then he was one-on-one on the second one. So I don't mind the shots there, to be honest with you.
And also, when you're looking at the defense, everybody's squeezed in because they're assuming that the Giants are going to go for the short pass.
Right.
The short, they're squeezed down. They're trying to take away the short pass because they don't want them to go methodically down the field. They don't want we don't want to give up a draw. We don't want to give up a screen. So everybody stay tight. Let's pay attention. And Slayton, go. Let's see what you got. And the first play was designed great.
Yep.
2 more things. I'm done. Why aren't we using Barkley enough in the passing game? And when I mean by enough, I mean I don't know. He should at least with the type of receivers we don't have, he should at least be looking at like 6 to 8 catches if that's possible. I mean, I don't understand how that's not being provided. And why was Jalen Smith out? Well, I mean, he played, but he didn't play as much. It didn't look like snap counts. And why was that young guy, 38, Zayton, playing over Rodarius Williams?
Well, I could tell you why. I'll take the Zion one, Howard. You could take the other 2. Rodarius Williams is an outside cornerback. Zion Gilbert played the slot. So that's why Gilbert played over Rodarius. You could take the other 2.
Okay, the other one, Saquon. The reason why Saquon is not used more in the passing game, just my opinion, not fact, but just my opinion, is that every eye in the defense is looking at Saquon. So when he runs her out, he's not really getting that quote-unquote. Most backs that slip out, they slip out. When Saquon slips out, defense like fine 26. So wherever he goes, you're using him to pull guys out of the middle of the field. You're using him like every once in a while they'll flare him out to the outside. When they flare him out to the outside, you think if you throw him the ball, he's going to get 15, 20 yards. Do you notice that the guy is right at the line of scrimmage when he catches the ball? Because they are
right. But wouldn't that help? But wouldn't that help with Daniel Jones being able to see the field a little better? People are running towards Saquon and allowing Daniel to run a little bit easier, possibly.
But that's what they've been doing. They flare him out. They do everything. Like the two guys that you're watching, if you're playing defense, is really easy to do. Is to make sure your backside guy has Daniel. So if the flow goes away from the play, if it goes away from you, you don't run upfield or chase down the line of scrimmage trying to get into the play. You just take a step up at Daniel. Make sure you guys make eye contact, so that he's going to give the ball away or he's going to throw it to the side he's supposed to, and then you go. The other thing is that, like, okay, the guy that's watching Saquon, when he goes outside, somebody has to come up to meet him. Don't give him 5 yards. Don't give him 10 yards. You don't know if he's going to try to dance around you or if he's going to drop his shoulder and try to run over you. And you saw that in the game, somebody's laid back and he ran over him. So that is not you defend against that. And the other question was, I'm sorry, what was
Jalen Smith played 74% of the snaps, 63 defensive snaps. That's about where he usually is.
Yeah,
in these games.
I mean that's
okay. I thought his snap count got reduced. Okay.
Yeah, no, he didn't get reduced.
Thank you, Jamal.
He played the same amount.
Appreciate the call, man. Good stuff. Good to hear from you, dude.
Yeah, people don't realize, like, when you're covering the guy, if they got a main weapon, if you can cover that main weapon, then you're doing a good job. And I don't think people realize that how focused people are on some of these guys. Yeah. Some guys you can't do anything about. Jamar Chase, you can't really stop. Brown, you can't really stop.
Justin Jefferson.
There's some guys.
Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah, you just don't want them on the field when you're playing. But no way you can stop them if they break a shoelace or something. But outside of that.
Speaking of which, it'll be important to watch, I think, Leonard Williams this week, Howard. He had a neck thing, and that's something that had popped up in previous weeks on the injury report. Hopefully they can get him back in time for this Philadelphia game.
He had a neck thing prior in the week in practice.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so, I mean, it'd be nice to have him.
Yeah, they need him. Yep. All right, final call of the show is Big Ed in Maryland. Big Ed, what's going on?
Big Ed.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing, man?
Good.
All right, man, look, guess what happened on Sunday? We didn't lose.
It's true.
That was the best thing of the Sunday. We did not lose.
That's true.
I can deal with a tie all the time as long as we don't lose. And guess what? Because we did not lose, we only have 4 losses.
That's true.
Which means we just got to win, 2 out of the next 3. One has to be against the Commanders and one has to be against Philly. Please tell me different.
I mean, Philly's not a must-win, Big Ed. It's not. I mean, if you finish this year and in your final games you beat Washington and Indianapolis, and those are your 2 wins, you're going to finish 9-7-1, and odds are you're going to be in the playoffs.
We'll be in the playoffs and repeat like 42. I smell it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I smelled it. I saw Tampa Bay, and I saw that. Well, if Tampa Bay plays Dallas on Wild Card Weekend, and we have the 49ers, we have the 49ers, we'll beat them. The thing is, who's the second team we play on the division weekend? And then who we play in the championship game?
Really? Yeah, because
going back to Arizona.
That's way ahead of me.
Being the 49ers will be really easy, because they're not any good.
Yeah, they're the top defense in the league.
Yeah, that's it.
I just think this week, just figure it out.
Yeah,
just figure it out. If we can get through this week, I think.
Thanks,
I appreciate it. And I don't do the look ahead thing. I think that this week is going to be good. Try to get as much stuff. It's almost like a research project. You're going to go against the Eagles. You're going to try to figure out what they're doing good, how they're playing against you. Because here's the bad news. When we play them the last game of the season, they're resting guys. You know who you get? You get a Ndamukong Suh.
And Linval Joseph.
You get Linval Joseph. That's your resting guys that you get for the end of the year. That's not good. So you got to figure out how to get your games in every time you go out. They have a lot of 1-game seasons, and I think this game is important. I don't think that it's a game that everybody can go in and go like, oh, they have no shot. You always have a shot when you play in the NFL. Anything could happen,
especially in the division. These games are always weird.
Jalen could have the flu. Not that I'm wishing anything on Jalen. God, I'm not.
He could throw 2 balls could get tipped in the air and get returned for touchdowns.
Anything can happen. Somebody could tip the ball. Yeah, like they have fumbled. There are things that happen.
And they've given up rushing yards. The Eagles have had one weakness on defense. It's been their rush defense.
Yeah, so anything.
Saquon could break a couple.
Yeah, so anything could happen. If anything happens, all of a sudden, like if Saquon starts to have that mentality and that action that you saw at the end of the game, where he got really fired up and really into the game, because he was really. He's driven the entire game, but he was extra.
Oh, he ran over that corner.
Yeah, he was really extra. As the young folks say, he was extra at the end of the game. If he's extra at the beginning of the game to the end, it could be a bad day for Philly. It really could.
Good stuff.
All right.
Howard Cross. I'm John Schmeelk. Thanks for being with us on Big Blue Kickoff Live. We're back tomorrow. Russ and Paul. You get to see the two old guys here hanging out with you on Big Blue Kickoff Live.
And you get to hear the word free.
Have a great Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.